Chioma, tell me this is not true. Tell me both of you are lying to me. Amaka, please forgive me.
Amaka, calm down. Please listen to me first.
Listen to what? That my own husband got my best friend pregnant inside my house? The two people I trusted with my life destroyed me.
In a small community outside Owerri, people believed a woman's place was inside the kitchen. The elders always said, no matter how educated a woman becomes, she will still end up in her husband's house. Because of that belief, many girls in the community stopped school early. Some were married off at a young age. Others became traders before they even turned 18. But two girls refused to accept that life. Amaka and Chioma. They were more than best friends. They were sisters by heart. They grew up together in the same dusty streets. They fetched water from the same stream. They attended the same local school with broken chairs and leaking roof. Every evening after school, they would sit under a mango tree beside Amaka's father's compound and talk about their future. A future nobody in their village believed was possible for girls. I will become an engineer one day, Amaka would say proudly. Chioma would laugh, and I would become even better than you. The two girls would laugh together while the older women passing by shook their head in disappointment. One evening, Chioma's mother overheard them talking about university. She hissed loudly, "University? For what? So you can become stubborn and disrespectful." Chioma lowered her head quietly. Her mother continued, "Go and learn how to cook properly. This is what will help you in marriage." That night, Chioma cried silently. But the next morning, Amaka came to her house before sunrise. "We are not giving up," she said firmly. Chioma wept her tears. "But how will we survive? Our parents don't care." Amaka held her hand tightly. "Then we will train ourselves." That sentence changed everything. From that day, the two girls started doing all kinds of jobs to survive and pay their school fees. During holidays, they sold roasted corn by the roadside. Sometimes they washed clothes for rich families. They worked at food stalls. They cleaned churches after service. There were days they trekked long distance because they could not afford transport money. There were nights they slept hungry. But no matter how life became, they never stopped encouraging each other. Whenever one became weak, the other became strong. Years later, after writing JAMB several times and struggling for money, both of them finally got admission into Imo State University to study engineering. The news shook the community. Some people even mocked them openly. What is a woman doing in engineering? They will soon drop out and marry. Women cannot survive difficult courses. But Amaka and Chioma ignored everyone. University life was not easy. Sometimes they attended lectures without eating. Sometimes they borrowed textbooks because they could not afford their own. But they were brilliant, very brilliant. Lecturers started noticing them. Students respected them. Even the male students who once mocked them started asking them for help before exams. In their final year, the two girls became among the best students in their department. The day results were released, the entire school was shocked. Both Amaka and Chioma graduated with first-class degree. When they hugged each other outside the school gate that day, tears filled their eyes. "We did it," Chioma whispered emotionally. Amaka smiled through tears. "We promised each other." For the first time in their life, it felt like the future was finally open for them, but they did not know that success would soon test their friendship in the most painful ways possible. During their final year in school, Amaka met a young man named Ola. Ola Adeyemi was calm, smart and ambitious. Unlike many men around them, he respected intelligent women. He admired Amaka deeply, not just because she was beautiful, but because she was hardworking. The relationship started slowly. At first, Amaka was careful because she did not want anything to distract her education. But Ola remained patient. He supported her emotionally. He brought food for her during difficult periods. Sometimes he stayed awake all night helping her prepare presentation. Even Chioma liked him. "He really loves you," Chioma told Amaka one evening. Amaka smiled shyly. "I think so too." After graduation, life started moving in different directions. Ola used his connection to help Amaka secure a job at a top engineering company in Lagos. When Amaka received the employment letter, she screamed with excitement. She immediately called Chioma. "We made it," she shouted over the phone. Chioma forced herself to sound happy. "I'm so proud of you." But after the call ended, Chioma sat quietly in darkness because despite all her effort, she still had no job. Months passed. Amaka relocated to Lagos and started working. The city was fast and stressful, but she adjusted quickly. Ola also became more successful in business. Their relationship grew stronger. A year later, they got married in a beautiful wedding ceremony. Chioma was Amaka's chief bridesmaid. During their wedding reception, Amaka held Chioma's hand tightly. "You are not my friend," she said emotionally. "You are my sister." Chioma smiled with tears in her eyes, but deep inside her heart, something painful was beginning to grow: loneliness. After the wedding, Amaka moved into Ola's beautiful house in Lagos. Life became comfortable. She finally started enjoying the kind of life she once only imagined under the mango tree in Owerri. Meanwhile, Chioma remained in Owerri, searching endlessly for work. Every morning, she dressed neatly and submitted CVs. Every evening, she returned home disappointed. Months turned into years. Still nothing. The rejection slowly destroyed her confidence. Some relatives started mocking her. "You studied engineering for nothing. You should have married since. You women waste time chasing career." Chioma pretended to be strong, but she cried often at night. The only person who never abandoned her was Amaka. Amaka constantly called her to encourage her. Sometimes she sent money. Sometimes she prayed with her over the phone. "Your time will come," Amaka always said. And Chioma truly loved her for that. But life has a dangerous way of turning pain into jealousy when someone is not careful. 3 years after graduation, Chioma still had no stable job. At the same time, another problem entered Amaka's marriage. She could not get pregnant. At first, Ola was patient, but his family was not, especially his mother. Every family gathering became uncomfortable. Indirect insults, painful comments, pressure. "Ola is our only son. We need grandchildren. What kind of wife cannot give birth?" Amaka tried to stay strong, but the pressure broke her slowly. She visited hospitals, went for tests, prayed endlessly. Still nothing. One evening, after another painful hospital appointment, Amaka returned home emotionally exhausted. That same night, her phone rang. It was Chioma. Her voice sounded weak. "Amaka, I cannot continue like this in Owerri anymore." Amaka sat up immediately. "What happened?" "I want to relocate to Lagos. Maybe I will find a better opportunity there." Amaka became excited instantly. "Of course, come." Chioma hesitated. "But I may need to stay with you for some time while searching for a job." Without thinking twice, Amaka agreed immediately. "You don't need to ask. This is your home too." Chioma almost cried over the phone. "Thank you." That night, Amaka informed Ola. At first, he did not like the idea. "Who had us staying with us?" he asked carefully. "She's not just anybody," Amaka replied. "She's my sister." Ola remained quiet. Eventually, after much pleading, he agreed. Neither of them knew that decision would destroy everything. The day Chioma arrived in Lagos, Amaka welcomed her warmly. She prepared food, cleaned the guest room herself, even bought new clothes for her. Chioma was deeply touched. "You have done too much already," she said emotionally. Amaka hugged her tightly. "We suffered together. Your pain is my pain." At first, everything felt peaceful. Chioma started applying for a job immediately. Every morning, she left the house with hope. Every evening, she returned tired and disappointed. Weeks passed, still nothing. Meanwhile, Ola's business became stressful. Then suddenly, he became seriously sick. At first, they thought it was ordinary malaria, but the sickness continued for weeks. He became weak and stopped going for work regularly. Amaka became worried because she could not stay at home due to her demanding job. So naturally, Chioma started helping around the house. She cooked for Ola, gave him medicine, stayed with him during hospital visits. At first, it meant nothing, But constant closeness can create dangerous emotions, especially between lonely people. Chioma noticed how caring Ola was. Even while sick, he still appreciated little things. One afternoon after she prepared soup for him, Ola smiled softly. "You cook very well," Chioma laughed. "You are always saying that because you are hungry." "No," Ola replied quietly. "I mean it." Something about the way he looked at her made Chioma uncomfortable. She quickly walked away. That night, she could not sleep properly. Meanwhile, Ola also became confused. He loved Amaka, but he could not deny that Chioma's presence in the house had started affecting him. She was beautiful, very calm. Her calmness, her soft voice, her constant care during his sickness slowly entered his heart. Still, he tried to ignore the feelings because she was Amaka's best friend, and Amaka trusted both of them completely. Days turned into months. The emotional distance between Amaka and Ola also increased because of stress. Amaka spent long hours at work. When she returned home, she was usually exhausted. Sometimes she fell asleep immediately after eating. The pressure from infertility also affected their marriage badly. Arguments became more frequent. Silence filled the house often. Meanwhile, Chioma and Ola spent more time together daily, watching television, talking during lunch, laughing over small jokes. At first, Chioma kept warning herself, "This is wrong." But emotions do not always listen to warnings. One rainy afternoon, electricity went off while Amaka was still at work. Ola and Chioma sat together in the sitting room discussing life. Ola suddenly spoke softly. "You deserve better than the life you have suffered." Chioma looked at him quietly. "No job, no future. Sometimes I feel like life forgot me." Ola stared at her deeply. "Life did not forget you." Their eyes locked for a few seconds too long. Chioma quickly stood up. "I should prepare dinner." But from that moment, something dangerous had already started. Days later, it happened. A moment neither of them planned. Amaka had traveled briefly on an office training. Ola was feeling stronger that evening. While Chioma helped him arrange some files in his room, they both reached out for the same document at the same time. Their hands touched. Silence filled the room. Then suddenly, Ola kissed her. The moment lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. Chioma immediately stepped back in shock. "What are you doing?" Ola also looked horrified. "I'm sorry. I should leave the room," Chioma said quickly. "I'm sorry," Ola repeated again. That night, neither of them slept. Guilt tortured them deeply. The next morning, Chioma avoided him completely. Later that evening, Ola finally spoke. "That mistake will never happen again." Chioma nodded immediately. "Yes, never again." But forbidden emotions are dangerous because sometimes the more people fight them, the stronger they become. The following night, Amaka worked late and returned very late. Chioma and Ola were alone again. One conversation became another. Silence became tension. And before they could stop themselves, they crossed the line completely. The betrayal had begun. After that night, Chioma cried endlessly. She hated herself. Every time Amaka smiled at her innocently, guilt stabbed her heart. But despite the guilt, the affair continued secretly, again and again. Every time they promised to stop, they failed. Ola became emotionally attached to Chioma faster than he expected, and Chioma, after years of loneliness and rejection, slowly became addicted to the attention and affection. The house changed completely, not openly, but quiet. Sometimes when Amaka entered the room suddenly, the atmosphere became awkward. Small silence, hidden eye contact, nervous behavior. Amaka noticed little change, but ignored them because trust blinded her. After all, this was her husband and her best friend, the two people she trusted most in the world. One morning, Chioma woke up feeling dizzy. At first, she ignored it, but the sickness continued for days. Finally, she bought a pregnancy test secretly. The moment she saw the result, her entire body went cold. Pregnant? Her hand started shaking immediately. No. Tears filled her eyes instantly. She sat in the bathroom floor for almost 1 hour in complete shock. That evening, she could barely look at Amaka. Amaka even noticed her pale face. "Are you okay?" Chioma forced a smile. "I'm fine," but she was not fine. That night, She decided to end the pregnancy quietly because keeping it would be the highest level of betrayal. But before doing anything, she gathered courage to tell Ola. When she finally informed him, his reaction shocked her completely. Ola became excited. "You are carrying my child?" Chioma stared at him in disbelief. "Ola, this is disaster." But Ola held her hands. "No, maybe this happened for a reason." Chioma quickly pulled away. "What about Amaka?" Silence filled the room. That silence said everything. For the first time, Chioma realized the situation had gone too far beyond secret attraction, far beyond temporary weakness. A child was now involved, and child exposed hidden secrets eventually. From that moment, tension increased inside the house. Amaka noticed change more frequently. Sometimes she caught Ola staring at Chioma strangely. Sometimes Chioma avoided eye contact completely. One evening during dinner, Amaka suddenly spoke. "You two are behaving somehow recently." Both of them froze immediately, but Amaka laughed lightly. "Maybe I'm just overthinking." Chioma could barely swallow her food. Guilt was destroying her slowly. But instead of confessing, she kept hiding deeper inside the lie because she was afraid of losing Amaka, afraid of shame, afraid of becoming the villain in everybody's eyes. But the truth always finds a way to reveal itself, and when it finally came out, nothing remained the same. A few weeks later, Amaka returned home earlier than usual from work. She had been feeling emotionally exhausted for days. The pressure from work, family expectation, and the constant disappointment of not getting pregnant were already affecting her deeply. All she wanted that evening was peace. As she entered the compound quietly, she noticed Ola's car parked outside. That surprised her. He was supposed to be at work. She entered the house slowly. The sitting room was empty, but she heard voice upstairs. At first, she smiled. Maybe Chioma and Ola were talking. Nothing strange. Then, she started climbing the stairs quietly. As she got closer to the bedroom, she heard Chioma crying softly. Amaka stopped walking immediately. Her heart became uneasy. Then, she heard Ola's voice. "Please calm down. The stress is not good for the baby." Amaka froze completely. For a moment, her brain refused to understand what she just heard. "Baby? Whose baby?" She moved closer slowly. Then she heard Chioma speak through tears. "How do we keep hiding this from Amaka?" The world around Amaka suddenly became silent. Her breathing changed immediately. Her hands started shaking. "No," she whispered weakly. Then Ola spoke again. "We will tell her at the right time." That was the moment her heart shattered completely. Amaka pushed the door open violently. Both Ola and Chioma turned in shock. The fear in their face confirmed everything immediately. Chioma's eyes were red from crying. Ola stood up quickly. Amaka slapped. The sound echoed across the room. Amaka slapped Ola so hard that he almost lost balance. Then she slowly turned towards Chioma. The pain in her eyes were worse than anger. Much worse. Chioma burst into tears immediately. "Amaka, please, don't call my name." Amaka screamed so loud that Chioma stepped back in fear. Tears rushed down Amaka's face uncontrollable. "You!" She pointed at Chioma with trembling hands. "You!" Chioma fell to her knees crying. "I'm sorry." Amaka laughed painfully. A broken laugh, the kind of laugh that comes from a destroyed heart. "You are sorry?" Her voice shook heavily. "I brought you into my house because I loved you like my own blood." Chioma cried harder. Amaka turned towards Ola. "And you?" She stared at him with complete disappointment. The man I defended everywhere. Ola tried to move closer. "Please listen to me. Don't touch me." Amaka screamed again. The pain inside her voice filled the room heavily. At that moment, years of friendship flushed through her mind. The suffering they suffered together, the dreams they shared, the promises they made under the mango tree in Owerri. Everything suddenly felt meaningless. Amaka looked at Chioma again. "How long?" Nobody answered. "How long?" "Over a month now," Chioma whispered weakly. Amaka closed her eye immediately. That answer destroyed the little strength left inside her. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Only Chioma crying filled the room. Finally, Amaka spoke quietly. "Get out!" Chioma looked up slowly. "Amaka, please." "I said get out!" Ola trying to interfere. She had nowhere to go. Amaka turned sharply towards him. "And whose fault is that?" Silence. That night became the longest night of their lives. Chioma packed her things while crying uncontrollable. Amaka locked herself inside another room. She cried until morning, not because she lost her husband, but because she lost her sister, the person she trusted most. After Chioma left the house, silence filled everywhere. Cold silence, the kind that suffocates people slowly. Amaka stopped speaking to Ola completely. Even after he tried apologizing repeatedly, she ignored him. The betrayal was too deep. One evening, Ola knelt before her crying, "I made the biggest mistake of my life." Amaka looked at him quietly. "You did not make a mistake." Her voice was cold. "You made choice." That silence hit him deeply, but Amaka was already emotionally gone. The marriage died the moment trust died. Weeks later, she officially moved out. Ola begged endlessly. His mother even came to apologize, but Amaka had reached her limits. The pain became unbearable after rumors started spreading among family members. People talked. Some blamed Chioma, some blamed Ola. Shockingly, some blamed Amaka for not giving birth early in the marriage. That broke her completely. One night, after crying hours alone inside her apartment, Amaka made a decision. She applied for an international engineering program in the United Kingdom. Months later, she got accepted. The day she received the confirmation email, she cried again. But this time, not from pain, from relief. It felt like God was giving her another chance to breathe again. Before leaving Nigeria, she met Chioma one last time. The meeting happened at a quiet restaurant in Lagos. Chioma looked completely different. She looked tired, broken, ashamed. The moment Amaka sat down, Chioma started crying immediately. "I don't deserve forgiveness." Amaka remained silent. Chioma continued speaking through tears. "You were the only real friend I had." Amaka looked at her calmly. "So why did you destroy me?" Chioma could not answer because the truth was simple. Weakness, loneliness, desire, selfishness. One terrible decision repeated too many times. "You know what hurt the most?" Chioma wiped her tears slowly. "I trusted you with everything." That sentence pierced Chioma's heart deeply. Amaka stood up quietly. "I pray one day you forgive yourself." Then she walked away. That was the last time they saw each other for many years. At first, Ola and Chioma believed life would eventually settle down. After all, the secret was already exposed. The damage had already happened. There was nothing more to hide. Months later, Chioma gave birth to a baby boy. Ola was extremely happy. His family celebrated heavily because finally there was a grandchild. Ironically, the same family that once hated Amaka now accepted Chioma happily. But peace never truly entered their relationship because guilt was still alive between them, and guilt changed people slowly. Sometimes at night, Chioma would remember Amaka and cry secretly. Other times, Ola would sit quietly for hours lost in regret. But instead of fixing their emotional problems, they buried themselves in money and appearance. Ola's business started having financial problems. Several investments failed. Debt increased. Pressure returned again. Then one day, Chioma met an old university friend who introduced her to a fast way of making money. At first, it sounded harmless. The business involved engineering supply contracts, fake documents, inflated project costs, illegal signature. Chioma was uncomfortable initially, but desperation slowly changed her mind. Ola also became involved after financial pressure increased badly. Together, they started participating in the fraudulent contract connected to the construction materials. The money came fast, very fast. They moved into a bigger house, bought new cars, started living loudly on social media. People admired them, but hidden sins always had expiring date. One morning, officers stormed Ola's office. Documents were seized, accounts frozen. Several people were arrested immediately. Ola was taken away in handcuffs before employees and neighbors. Chioma panicked immediately. She tried denying involvement, but investigation revealed everything: signed documents, bank transferred, fake approval, recorded conversation. The evidence was overwhelming. The social media carried their story everywhere. People became shocked, especially those who knew their past. The same Chioma who once suffered looking for honest work had now destroyed her life because of greed and desperation. During the court trial, More painful truth came out publicly. Friends abandoned them, family members disappeared. Even Ola relative who supported Chioma started blaming her for everything, but the judge saw both of them equally guilty. The sentence shocked the entire courtroom, 25 years imprisonment. Chioma broke down completely. Ola lowered his head in shame as officers led them away. Chioma suddenly remembered Amaka, the friend who once gave her shelter, the woman she betrayed, and for the first time in many years, she truly understood the full weight of her actions, not just the affair, but every selfish choice after it. Years later in the London, Amaka built a life quietly. It was not easy at first. There were lonely nights, painful memories, moments she questioned herself, but she refused to let betrayal destroy her future. She focused on work, studied harder, improved herself. Slowly, her life changed beautifully. She became one of the most respected engineers in her company. People admired her intelligence and strength, but most importantly, she found peace again. One snowy evening after work, Amaka stood beside her apartment window, staring outside quietly. Her phone rang. It was an old friend from Nigeria. After exchanging greetings, the friend hesitated before speaking. "Have you heard about Chioma and Ola?" Amaka became silent briefly. "No." They were sentenced to prison. Silence filled the call for several seconds. Amaka slowly sat down. Despite everything they did to her, pain still touched her heart hearing that news. Not because she wanted them back, but because she remembered the innocent dreams they once shared as young girls in Owerri. The dreams of changing their lives, the dreams of becoming successful women. Nobody planned to destroy their life when they are young. Sometimes, destruction began with one wrong decision people refused to stop. That night, Amaka cried again, not from bitterness, but from sadness. Sadness of the friendship that died, sadness of wasted life, sadness from how easily good people can lose themselves. Trust is precious. Once broken, it can destroy relationships forever. Desperation is dangerous when it pushes people towards selfish decisions, and sometimes the greatest betrayal comes from the closest people to us. But this story also teaches something important. A painful ending does not mean your life has ended. Amaka lost her marriage, lost her best friend, lost the life she once dreamed about, but she still found the strength to rise again, because no betrayal should stop someone from becoming who they were meant to be.